Next article is Article 170, which is falsification of legislative documents. So when we say legislative documents, ito yung mga documents that were enacted or issued by the House of Legislature. So that means the Congress and the Senate or any provincial or municipal council. Yan ay ang Sangguniang Panlalawigan, Sangguniang Bayan, tsaka Sangguniang Panglungsod. So, kung yung mga bill, resolution at ordinances na inisyo nila, in-enact nila, or in-approve nila, ito yung mga subject matter, yung documents na tinatawag na legislative documents. So, if you falsify these documents, meaning you make alterations without proper authority, and with the result of changing the meaning of the document, then you will be held liable under this particular article. So, what is an example of this? Changing provisions in an enrolled bill before it reaches the president. So, presently, di ba, merong issue ngayon, no, na meron daw mga alterations or insertions or changes in the bicameral conference committee report, no, with respect to the General Appropriations Act, 'di ba? Merong case ngayon pending, no, in the Supreme Court regarding the said GAA na meron daw inintroduce na mga provisions or may changes daw na ginawa na hindi naman napag-usapan or hindi naman approved, no, during the bicameral conference committee. So if proven talaga na merong mga changes or merong mga alterations without authority, then that could be the subject of Article 170, no? So the case here is People versus Dizon, GR number L-2468, decided in February 25, 1950. Here, the accused altered text in an approved municipal ordinance to benefit a private entity. So, meron siyang ginawang changes, no, sa approved municipal ordinance. So that is liable, that is subject to Article 170, no? Because legislative integrity must be preserved. So kaya nga kailangan lahat ng proceedings or anything that will transpire, no, inside the halls of the Congress or the Senate or the Sanggunian should be recorded, no, put into record. Naka-record yan lahat, no, para in case that there are changes or alterations made, no, in the resulting ordinance or resolution, we can always go back, no, to the recordings kung ano ba talaga yung tunay na nangyari. So that is the purpose, no, of recording the proceedings. So let's cite a few cases here, no. In the case of Dava versus People, GR number 73905, decided in September 30, 1991, in falsification of public or official documents, the principal thing punished is the violation of the public faith and the destruction of the truth proclaimed therein. Also, in the case of Batulanon versus People, GR number 139857, September 15, 2006, the essence of falsification is the act of making untruthful or false statements. No, it's very dangerous. No, if you make false statements or if you falsify, lalo na public or official documents. Article 171 refers to falsification by public officer. So, since it is mentioned here na ito ay committed by a public officer, so limited lang ito, no, for public officer. So the elements are as follows, no? Offender is a public officer, employee of the government, or meron tayong addition, no? Notary public, no? Kasi yung mga notary public, parang public officers din yan sila. Or ecclesiastical minister. Second, he or she takes advantage of his official position. So, ano ibig sabihin nito? Ibig sabihin nito na yung public officer, meron siyang hand. Siya yung in charge doon sa document, public document. So, siya yung nag-entry, siya yung gumagawa, etc. So, and he takes advantage of that position in order to falsify that document. So, kung public officer ka pero wala ka namang hand, wala ka namang involvement with respect to a specific public document or official document, then you will not be held liable under Article 171 if you falsify the said document. Sabihin natin example, birth certificate. So yung birth certificate that is under the local civil registrar or under the Philippine Statistics Authority, for example. And then yung LCR, yung registrar, yung officer mismo, head of office ng LCR, siya yung mismong nag-falsify ng birth certificate. So, that is an example of taking advantage of his official position. Kasi nga, siya yung may hawak ng public document. Siya yung may control sa birth certificate at siya din yung gumawa ng falsification. Now, let's change the facts. What if, for example, yung treasurer, for example, finosify niya yung birth certificate. So, question, is he or she liable under Article 171? The answer is no, because he did not take advantage of his position. Kasi treasurer siya. Wala naman siyang kinalaman doon sa birth certificate kasi hindi yan under sa kanyang opisina. So, yan ang ibig sabihin ng element number 2, no? The public officer or employee must take advantage of his official position para maging liable siya under Article 171. Now, yung notary public naman, of course, yung kanyang document na ninotarized, no? So, kung nag-falsify siya ng document na kanyang ninotarized, then liable siya under Article 171. The same is true with ecclesiastical minister, no? That is with respect to any record or document that may affect the civil status of persons. Example, ikaw yung nagkasal, no? Nag-administer ng kasal ng dalawang tao. Tapos finosify mo. Wala namang nangyaring kasal pero sabi mo doon nag-marry sila. They were married and you were the solemnizing officer. So, in that case, since that affects the civil status of person, then you will be held liable under Article 171 kasi ikaw yung ecclesiastical minister, no, na who parang misrepresented, no, na ikaw yung nagkasal sa kanila. So, you could be held liable under Article 171. No? That's for ecclesiastical minister. Third is committed falsification in an official, public, or commercial document. No? Yung in case of ecclesiastical minister, yung sabi ko, kapag yung record or document ay makakaapekto sa civil status ng person. Example, nilagay mo married sila pero yung totoo wala namang nangyaring kasal. So, yun siya. Or, like for example, binyag. Lagay mo na nabaptize siya pero hindi naman pala. So, that is falsification by public officer under Article 171. And of course, the last element is with intent to cause damage or commit fraud. So, yan yung fourth element that should be proven. Example, a clerk issuing a birth certificate with false entries. Yung clerk dapat under sa particular office na may control sa birth certificate or sa local civil registrar or sa PSA, di ba? Para ma-liable siya under 171. Now, case here is People versus Dizon. GR number L-2254, January 31, 1950. The municipal treasurer falsified official payroll to claim salary for fictitious employees. Ayan, di ba? Yung municipal treasurer, meron siyang hand or involvement in the preparation of payroll, di ba? Kasi siya yung magre-release ngayon. Siya yung magre-release ng sweldo, no? So, finosify niya. Lagay niya doon si Juan de la Cruz kahit hindi naman talaga siya empleyado ng munisipyo or fictitious siya. So, that is under Article 171. Pwede siyang maging liable, no? For falsification by a public officer. Kasi nga, meron siyang involvement, meron siyang hand sa document na finosify niya. Okay? So, ano ba yung mga iba't ibang klase ng acts of falsification? No? Kailan mo ba makocommit yung falsification? So, ito yung 7 acts of falsification that you should be mindful of, no? Or be familiar with. So number one is counterfeiting or imitating or feigning any handwriting, signature, or rubric. So, ano ba ibig sabihin nito? When you say counterfeiting, it means you are parang copying or forging, 'di ba? Forging the signature or handwriting of another. Parang kumbaga sundog, or kinopya mo yung handwriting or signature ng someone, no? In order to appear na parang to make an impression na kanya yung handwriting niya yon or signature niya yon. That's counterfeiting. When you say feigning naman, it means that you are making up a handwriting or signature that does not belong to someone, meaning that does not exist, no? Walang ganitong klaseng signature, walang ganitong handwriting, pero nagawa-gawa ka lang ng handwriting or signature. So, yan yung counterfeiting or imitating or feigning any handwriting or signature or rubric, no? Which is an act of falsification. Second is causing it to appear that persons have participated in an act or a proceeding. Kunyari, in a deed of absolute sale, sinulat nyo doon na si seller, binenta niya yung kanyang property kay buyer. Tapos, for this particular, for this amount, no? Like 1 million pesos. Tapos, may pirma doon ng seller. So, you make it appear na yung seller nag-participate siya pero wala naman pala siya at the time of the execution of the document. So, that is also falsification, no? If you cause to appear that persons have participated in an act or a proceeding pero wala naman pala sila. Hindi naman pala sila nag-participate. Pwede din siya under number one, no? Counterfeiting any handwriting. Third is attributing to persons who have participated in any act or proceeding statements other than those in fact made by them. Like, for example, iba yung napag-usapan, iba din yung nakalagay doon sa, let's say for example, ganito. Example, sa deed of sale, yung napag-usapan nyo na si buyer ang magbayad ng capital gains tax para sa pag-transfer ng property, no, sa kanyang name. Yan yung napag-usapan talaga. Pero it turned out, nung lumabas na yung document, iba yung nakalagay. Nakalagay doon, lahat ng expenses, kasali yung mga capital gains tax, si seller magbabayad. So, that is attributing to persons statements other than those in fact made by them. Parang inad mo na hindi naman yun ang napag-usapan. So, here, yung mga person, nag-participate talaga sila. Kaya lang, iba yung statement na nilagay sa agreed nila verbally. So, yan ang example ng item number 3, no? An act of falsification. Number 4 is making untruthful statements in a narration of fact. So, itong item number 4, ang example nito is, kunyari sa personal data sheet, di ba? Sa government, lahat ng mga employees and officials, they are required to submit a PDS, no? So, sa PDS, merong question doon na, meron ka na bang conviction of a crime involving moral turpitude or mga ganon, mga declaration ba na i-require nila. Tapos, meron ka talagang convicted ka talaga, no, of a crime, pero nilagay mo doon no. So that is making untruthful statements in a narration of facts. Number 5 is altering true date. So that's very self-explanatory, no? Na instead na yung date is December 5, 2025, ginawa mong January 5, 2025. And dapat yung date na yan is material, di ba? Yung date. It means to say that yung changes na ginawa mo sa date will affect, no, the validity or the veracity of documents, no? Example niyan is like merong submission deadline. For example, mag-submit ka ng complaint ay answer, for example, sa complaint. Ang binigay lang na sa'yo is 10 days within which to answer the complaint. Tapos ngayon, para mapasok siya sa 10 days, kahit na lagpas na yung pagpasa mo, inalter mo yung date received, no? So, para pumasok lang siya doon sa 10-day period. So, that is altering true dates. Importante siya, essential yung date kasi whether or not tanggapin ng court yung iyong answer, di ba? Or whether or not i-consider ba niya yung answer mo, no? Filed on time ba siya? So, mga ganun na example, yung altering true dates. Or another example is, like, uh, best example pala, no, yung, remember the previous discussion natin, yung arbitrary detention, 'di ba? If you arrested someone, if the police officer arrested someone, he or she should deliver that person to the judicial authority within specified period, 'di ba? Meron dong 12, 18, and 36 hours na dapat ma-deliver mo siya to judicial authorities. Dapat ma-filean mo na siya ng case. Tapos para hindi mo ma-violate yung yung prescribed period, hindi ka liable for arbitrary detention, inalter mo yung date of arrest. O, di ba? So, that is an example of altering true dates na essential that can affect, no, the veracity or validity of the document, di ba? Or the act, no? So, dahil importante yung date, kapag finosify mo yan, you will be held liable, no? Under the revised penal code, no? So, yan ang altering true dates. Number 6 is making alteration or intercalation in a genuine document which changes its meaning. So, um, I think that's self-explanatory, no? Merong genuine na document, tapos meron kang change, inaltercate, or meron kang alteration. So, nag-change yung kanyang meaning. Number 7 is issuing in authenticated form a document purporting to be a copy of an original document when no such original exists, or including in such a copy a statement contrary to or different from that of the genuine original. I think ma-remember ko na example nito is yung nag-viral na student na she misrepresented na she is a graduate of a certain degree in a certain school. Pero it turned out na hindi pala siya student doon, hindi siya graduate doon. Falsified yung kanyang diploma or certificate, no? So that certificate or diploma pala did not exist, no? Hindi siya original, no? Wala siyang original. So that is an example of item number 7, which is an act of falsification. Now we go to falsification by private individuals and use of falsified documents. Remember kanina na discuss natin, 'di ba, na falsification by public officers. Maging liable ka lang under Article 171 if you are a public officer or employee that has taken advantage of your official position. Meaning to say, meron kang involvement sa preparation or safekeeping ng particular public or official document. So, kapag public officer ka or employee na wala ka namang hand or wala ka namang involvement sa preparation or safekeeping or control over a particular official or public document, and then you falsify it, you will not be held liable under Article 171. Instead, you will be liable under Article 172. So, parang you will be considered a private individual kapag wala kang control or wala kang hand sa preparation ng particular public or official document. So ano itong mga offenses, no, under Article 172? So actually, apat, no? There are 4 punishable acts here, no? So, isa-isahin natin. Number 1 is ang elements. Number 1, offender is a private person or a public officer or employee who did not take advantage of his official position and he or she committed any of the acts of falsification in public, official, or commercial documents. Yung 7 na diniscuss natin a while ago. So, any of those, kinumit niya. Tapos, private person siya or public officer or employee na wala siyang or hindi siya nag-take advantage ng kanyang official position, then he will be liable under Article 172. That's the first act. Second is, if the offender is a private person and he or she committed any of the acts of falsification in a private document. Take note, private document, hindi public, official, or commercial document, private. Ano ba yung mga private document? Example niyan is promissory note, no? Yung hindi notarized na promissory note, di ba? Or agreement na hindi notarized, di ba? So, uh, cause damage to a third party or at least with intent to cause such damage. So, meron siyang intention na mag-cause ng damage, no, to a third person. So, yan yung second na act. Third is, the offender knew that a document was falsified by another person. Second, that the false document was made either under Article 171 or 172. And third is that he introduced said document in evidence in any judicial proceeding. Parang ito yung use of falsified document. Ang offender dito is hindi siya yung nag-forge. Hindi siya yung nag-falsify. Pero alam niya na falsified yung document by another person. Meron siyang knowledge. And the falsification was made either under Article 171 or 172. Paragraph 1 and 2, di ba? Either yan sa dalawang nasa taas. And ginamit niya yung falsified document as evidence in any judicial proceeding. So, magiging liable siya under paragraph 3, no? Under Article 172. Lastly, the offender knew that a document was falsified by another person, that the false document was made either under Article 171 or 172, and that he used said document to cause damage to another or at least use with intent to use such damage. So, ang kaibahan lang ng third tsaka last paragraph is that yung third is ginamit niya sa judicial proceeding, meaning sa korte. Pero yung last paragraph, ginamit niya kahit saan, basta meron siyang intention to cause damage to another. No? So, yan ang apat na violative acts or punishable acts under Article 172. No? Falsification by private individuals and use of falsified document. So example is using a fake diploma to apply for a government job, di ba? So, example yan. Case of US versus SNC, GR number 6102, January 16, 1911. Here, the accused forged business licenses in a trade fair. So, is a private person liable for falsification? The answer is yes. No, if the falsification is intentional and prejudicial, meaning he or she has the intention to cause damage to another. So, ito siya is nag-forge siya ng business license, no? 'Di ba, pag mag-conduct tayo ng business, you should have business permit, 'di ba, from the city or municipality. So para makasali siya sa trade fair, let's say for example, merong festival, tapos para makasali siya doon, makabenta siya, nagawa siya ng business permit. Private person siya, okay? So, that is falsification under Article 172 kasi private person siya, di ba? Pero kung kunyari, ano siya, under siya sa office ng business licensing ng city, tapos finorge niya, na-issue siya ng forged business permit sa kanyang friend. So, hindi na siya under Article 172. 171 na siya kasi public officer siya na merong na nag-take advantage ng kanyang official position. So, I hope that is clear, no, to you. The difference between Article 171 and Article 172. Next article is Article 173, which is falsification of wireless, cable, telegraph, and telephone message. So, dalawa yung ano dito, acts, no? Punishable acts. So, let's go first to the first paragraph, no? Ano yung mga elements? Number 1, offender is an officer or employee of the government or of a private corporation. So, officer siya ng government or employee siya ng private corporation. And dapat yung private corporation is engaged in the service of sending or receiving wireless cable or telephone message. So example nito yung mga Globe, Smart, yung mga ganyan dito. So yan, di ba? Second is commits either uttering fictitious wireless cable, telegraph, telephone message. So, shortcut lang natin, WCTTM. Or falsifying WCTTM. So, yan yung elements. Example, altering an official telegram to change election results. So, that is an example no, of falsification under Article 173. Kumbaga, change mo or fictitious meaning non-existent na message tapos still dineliver mo yung non-existent na message. Gawa ka lang ng message pero wala naman pala. Or change mo yung message. That's falsifying, no? So the case here is People versus Francisco, GR number L-23736, February 18, 1967. The telegraph operator changed the contents of a transmitted message. No? So, is this punishable under Article 173? The answer is yes, because the public relies on the accuracy of official communications. Bigyan natin ng isa pang example, yung mga alert, di ba? Yung mga messages na sinisend every time na merong calamity, like lindol, or merong baha, or rain, di ba? Yung orange, parang rainfall, yung mga ganon. So kung mag-alter ka dyan, mag-falsify ka dyan, mag-send ka ng mga messages, mag-transmit ka ng message na merong lindol pero wala naman pala, then you will be held liable under Article 173, no? Kaya mag-cramming na yung mga tao, tapos hindi naman pala totoo. So, yan ang Article 173. Second punishable act under Article 173, ito yung kanyang elements. Number 1, the offender knew that the wireless cable, telegraph, telephone message was falsified under the first paragraph of Article 173. He or she used such falsified dispatch, ginamit niya. And the use of such falsified dispatch resulted in the prejudice of a third party or with intent to cause such prejudice. So, ano ang kaibahan ng first tsaka second paragraph? Yung first paragraph, yung mismong person na author ng falsification. Doon siya maging liable. But in the second paragraph, hindi siya yung author ng falsification, pero ginamit niya yung falsified message or falsified dispatch that caused prejudice or with the intent to cause prejudice to third person. So, yan ang kaibahan ng first tsaka second paragraph. Now we are in Article 174, false medical certificate or certificate of merit or service. Elements, issuance of a false medical certificate or false certificate of merit or service, issued by a physician or a surgeon with respect to medical certificates, or any public officer with respect to certificate of merit or service. And third is with the intention to cause damage or commit fraud. Example, a doctor issuing fake medical leave certificates for a fee. So, merong mga ganito like kailangan yung medical certificate. Like for example, in hiking, required yung medical certificate, 'di ba, in hiking. Lalo na kung masyadong malayo na yung kilometer. Tapos para makakuha ka ng medical certificate, agad-agad. So, nakiusap ka sa friend mo na doctor na kung pwede, issuehan kanya na lang ng medical certificate, babayaran mo na lang siya. So, ganon. So, that is an example, no? Fake yung medical certificate. So, liable yung surgeon or physician. Now, for fake naman na merit or service, like you are a government employee and then nag-resign ka, tapos humingi ka ngayon ng service record. Pero yung sa service record, para maganda yung service record mo, inalter or finalsify yan ng public officer. So, he or she will be held liable under Article 174. Tapos naniwala yung company na pinag-applyan mo na ganito talaga yung service record mo. So that will be subject to Article 174. Liable ka dito. Case dito is People versus Santos, GR number L-21354, March 31, 1966. Here, the physician issued false health certificates to unqualified applicants for overseas work. So, klaro naman, no? So, liable siya under Article 174. False certifications undermine public health safeguards, di ba? So, paano kung kunyari, inisyuhan ka ng health certificate na you are fit no to hike Mount Apo, but it turned out na hindi ka pala fit, meron ka palang high blood pressure, mataas pala yung ano mo, blood pressure mo, tapos meron kang heart na disease, tapos namatay ka while hiking Mount Apo, 'di ba? So it will undermine public health safeguards, no? Nire-require yan to make sure that you are healthy, no, to undertake any transaction or any undertaking. So kung mag-issue yung doktor ng mga false certificate, lalo na medical certificate, then he will be liable no under Article 174. Okay, last article for this video is using false certificates. So, elements, use of a false certificate knowing it to be false. And second, intent to cause damage or commit fraud. So, here, no, kumbaga, ikaw lang yung nag-benefit ng false certificate. So, yung example natin kanina, di ba, na doktor, nag-issue siya ng fake medical certificate that you are fit to climb Mount Apo. Tapos, ikaw yung inisyuhan niya. So, ikaw naman na gumamit ng false certificate, ginamit mo siya, pinasa mo siya dun sa organizer para maniwala sila na fit ka talaga, then you will be liable under Article 175 kasi ikaw yung gumamit. Although, hindi ikaw yung nag-falsify. Kasi the crime is using false certificate. So, example, presenting a falsified medical certificate to court. Okay. Kunyari, yung witness, nag-absent siya sa hearing, tapos ang dahilan niya, nagkasakit siya, hiningan siya ng medical certificate ng court, nagbigay siya ng fake medical certificate. So, ngayon nalaman na fake pala yun, hindi pala yun totoo. So, liable siya under Article 175. Now, the case here is People versus Santiago, GR number L-35631, decided in September 1980. The accused here used a fake health certificate to avoid military service. So, is he liable? Even if he did not falsify it, hindi siya yung mismong nag-falsify, liable ba siya? The answer is yes, under Article 175. Because the mere use of the falsified certificate constitute a crime under this article. So, liable siya.